Welcome back, awesome people. Today is day 4 of 12-day live sessions that we're going to be doing with Anthony. He should be joining any moment now. We are 2 minutes early. 2 minutes early today. There he is. He's waving. And there we go. Whoop, wrong button. Go live. Tony, my man. Whoops.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hey. I could hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty
Um,
and good. That's 2-for-1 deal.
yeah, just got back from work, just finished eating, didn't have time to shower before the video, so still look a little bit messy, but other than the fiberglass that's on my face, I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Wow. Yeah. From my end, is my screen blurry to you?
No?
Yeah, your screen to me is very blurry. Go hold on. Fine.
Is that better?
Well, blurry as in like quality-wise, it's not coming through the greatest, which is totally fine. Totally all right. I won't hold it against Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, you just got really loud.
I don't know what's up.
Oh, okay, now it's good. Okay, awesome. Well, we'll go with that. Maybe I should turn on my um, not much, but it's okay. It's okay. How was your day overall today?
It was not bad. We finally finished up the insulation on one of the houses that we started doing a little while ago.
Uh-huh.
And I hate insulation. I don't know if there's anyone out there that enjoys it. If you do, you're a strange breed of humans. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. A little bit itchy as usual as with insulation, but we finally got the garage and all the stuff wrapped up and finished, so they can sheetrock
Cool.
after the inspection. But it's a good day.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, for me it's 7 p.m. at your place, 1 p.m. here. Nice. Well, let's get right into it. Would you like to introduce yourself? I'll introduce myself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my name is Anthony Desatnikov. I'm a student of life, and what I currently do for work is construction for a custom home building company, Bella. These guys right here, and in Saratoga Springs, New York. But other than that, I've just been working on personal development, becoming the best version of myself, and yeah, that about summarizes it.
Awesome. My name is Alexey Katko. I started the Clarifiers, and that's what this is a part of. Clarifiers.com is going to be coming up soon. As Anthony said, that he loves to be the student of life. That's very much me as well. And for me, what I love even more than studying something and learning and applying it is actually learning the learning process and helping others to learn it much easier. So simplifying the complex into doable steps, and to show you what that looks like in the background. If you look at all that right there, it's like if you look at just one of those pieces of paper here, that right there is actually what we're going through today, those steps. So it's like the progress can seem to feel like it can get complicated very fast, but I love to help people simplify it. So they're like, okay, this is what I do today. This is what I do this week. That's who I am. That's what I'm all about. Student, and then helping others learn to understand. I love that stuff. Just love it. It's always been my North Star, and I first experienced it from my grandpa. Today, as I was writing and journaling, I just want to share with you, Tony. It's interesting how I'm like, wow,
Did Cavagna?
yes, when he passed away,
Okay.
like, before he passed away, I was there for half a day at a time as a caretaker. And for months, I just watched how he was helping people 3 days before he died. People were calling him from all over the world to really just get their understanding of what should they do in life or how should they be. And that really burned an impression on me. On the day of his funeral, when everybody left, I'm standing there just between the blue sky, the pile of dirt, and everybody's gone. I'm just like, in my mind, I was like, Grandpa, I want to be just like you. And this thought just comes right into my mind. It's like, no, Alexey, you don't want to be like me. You want to help people like I did. And I was like, boom, that's my North Star. And so, yeah, that's what I just wanted to share that with you. That
Interesting. So that's where it originated from.
Yeah, well, I grew up, most of us in this world have grown up with parents, but no parenting. And it seems it's like if you grew up with parents but no parenting, you have to make your own way through life. That's another thing, as I was writing down today. It's like it makes it very difficult. And for me, that's how it was being the youngest, second youngest in a kid, 6 kids in our family. For me to learn, I had parents but no parenting, and that's why I wanted to alleviate that pain point for others. So technically, our parents should teach us, but because they never were taught, they don't know. So, wow, you got so much blurrier, Tony. Am I still clear?
Yeah. Let me see if I move my phone to this spot. Will it help? Okay. I just tried turning on the Wi-Fi. I don't know if that's going to help. Did that help?
No. Yeah, I mean, you got like the last 3 days were pretty good, but it's okay. So yeah, yeah, that's just wanted to share that with you because that's my North Star. My North Star is to help people understand because that's how I grew up with that challenge, and I want to alleviate that for others. Um, Today, I actually wanted to flip the script. Instead of us going over for something for you, give you the opportunity to lead me through the process. So this way, you actually get to learn the process better from a different angle
And
as a
exactly
mentor.
what do you mean by that?
So remember, you know how the first 2 times you were going through the process, and I was saying, okay, so here's this first step. What's that experience that you had, and how do you get the authorship for it? And so now those 6 steps, you lead me through it.
All right.
Flip the script today. Today's flip the script. No need to be just learning. This is you doing. Like pretend I am just a guy that's like, hey, I heard that you can help me with this, help me catch my old paradigms or old programming, and you're like, okay, I can help you. So pretend that's the scenario, and you lead me through it.
Okie dokie. So first thing you're gonna want to do is to create little rectangular pieces like this. You just take a piece of regular printer paper. You're gonna fold it in half and then in half one more time.
Okay, ready.
He's got his stack, but you're a new person here in this situation. So if you're sitting at home and you
I
want to
just
know how to
happen
do
to have
this,
these around, man. I don't know
yeah,
what
just
you're talking
happen to have them. Anyways,
Yeah.
fold them, blah blah blah, cut it up. So once
Okay.
you have your square piece of paper, you're gonna begin writing. So first, what I'll do is I'll tell you the framework of how this works. It's a 6-step process, and
Okay.
I'm gonna read them out, and then we'll go through it one step at a time. So the
Okay.
first step or the first question is, what did you actually want to create before the incident that the experience allowed you to accomplish? So essentially, you have, say, this past traumatic event. Before the event actually occurs, think about what were you trying to create in your life? What was the overarching desire at that point in your life? And then after the incident actually happened, it allowed you to accomplish it. So that's question number one. Then question number two, or step two of the process, is essentially you're trying to see how you're the author here. Basically realizing you're in control. It's not these other people or things around you. And then we go to step three, which the goal here is to achieving a reframing of the event as a positive experience. So, in step two, we see how we're the author, meaning we wrote it. And then step three is basically acknowledging, all right, since I'm the author, I'm going to reframe, which is the reprogramming part in your brain of the subconscious experience, as something positive instead of a negative experience. Then step 4 of the process is going from the believing to knowing. So what about believing? It's not just believing you're the author, it's being able to look back on the process, reflect, and see, oh, now I know I authored that experience based off of the data I'm now pulling out from writing this out. Then step 5 of the process is, what lessons did I learn? Now, typically when people try to reframe, this is the last thing they run to, or this is the first thing that they run to, ignoring the previous steps, which can kind of take away from really extracting as much value and data from it. So
Okay.
number 5 is, what lessons did I learn? And then you're going to ask that question in the context of the situations and self. So what lessons did I learn about the situation that I experienced? And then what lessons did I learn about myself from that situation? And then 6, the last part of the process is, do not blame the key players. Take on responsibility because you're the author. This is essentially the reaffirmation. You're saying to yourself, I'm in control, I wrote this script, and it's not XYZ's fault that this happened. So let's run through the process. So on that blank piece of paper that you have, I would start off by writing out a name for this event. It could be either the real name of the event, or if you want to paraphrase it, you can also feel free to do that. But then that way, when you look back at it, you know what it's referring to, what the process is breaking down.
Okay, I'm writing it down, calling it the investment.
So the investment. So this is the incident that we're going to be referring to through this process. So step 1, you're going to ask yourself, what did you actually want to create in the investment before the incident essentially happened, that the experience allowed you to accomplish?
Okay, so can you read that again one more time?
Yeah. What did you actually want to create before the incident that the experience allowed you to accomplish? And experience in this context would be the investment that you wrote on that paper, this event.
How am I supposed to figure that out?
Well, with this event...
Sorry to cut you off. What I mean by that is, I know the event. The event is, I made an investment, it went south. So how do I go about figuring it out?
So you made an investment. What did you learn from it? What were you trying to create with that investment? What was your initial purpose for even investing in the first place? Did you want financial freedom? Did you just, want to take a gamble and just kind of have some fun? Like, what was your intended... The only way you're going to be able to answer this question is trying to reverse the intent of why you initially started the action in the first place, or the things that led up to that experience.
I made the investment because I wanted to have my own business, and I saw the opportunity, that there was an opportunity, and at the time I knew the right people to make it happen, or I knew the right people that knew the right people. So I knew the right people, wanted be my own boss. Definitely thinking back, in control of my schedule. And those are the things that come to my mind right now. I knew the right people, and was like, okay, I want to be my own boss. I want to be in control of my schedule, and I saw the financial opportunity for it.
So in the context of the question, it's asking, what did you actually... So you list which of... them actually happened after that the experience allowed you to accomplish?
Well, the investment, after the investment was made, I was supposed to receive the money back, but I never did, and the individual just fell off the grid. I stopped responding. That's what happened.
Uh-huh. So that's exactly what happened, but with what happened, which one of those things did you actually get closer to creating? So the question starts off, what did you actually want to create before the incident? So before you made the investment. So you listed out these things. You want to be your own boss, financially free, your own business. And then this investment thing happens, it goes south. What does the going south process allow you to accomplish?
So what it actually did for me is I ended up I have to, right after the person disappears, now I have to take on the responsibility for paying back anybody else that put money in. So okay, hold on a second. Let me write this down. It By then I moved to Hawaii because I still had some money saved up, and I decided to go to Hawaii and start out there. And what it forced me to do is to start really thinking, put more like a fire under my butt to start focusing my time instead of just going all over the place.
So like a redirection of your attention towards specific behaviors. Scott, you became more laser focused, if you were to summarize.
Well, I realized that if I was just going with life and just taking any job or anything, my life would be just the same as ever. Now I have this thing that I need to pay back. Then it's just like, okay, um, what do I actually want to do with my life? Because 2 previous jobs I had were very awesome. I really loved them, but they were not aligned with me. And I realized that I do not want to ever get a job again like that. I don't want to get a job or work with people who are not about helping others progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so by investing into that company, and then that being taken, slipped right from underneath my nose, then what it forced me now in Hawaii is to be thinking, okay, I don't want to just do anything. And it forced
Mm-hmm.
me, okay, actually here it is. It began the process of me going back to my North Star, going back to when we started the conversation. It's my North Star, what it was,
So your
which
North
was
Star is helping people clarify
understand.
things, understand
Yes.
things.
So actually, the previous 2 jobs, this bed place, there, it was like physical work. But I didn't care what work I had to do as long as I could be helping people understand the processes, the systems. And there it was a manufacturing mindset that people wanted to get, like how to make it better, lean manufacturing. Um, then I realized that they're not going to really push that kind of training. The next
No, they
job
don't.
I got, uh,
Yeah, they didn't really focus on that at all.
then the next job I got was a traveling construction company across the states. And there I also really quickly within the first few months got into the position of creating training. And then the company, even the vice president was like, this is awesome, let's do it. And then the head of training all of a sudden started taking his time way too long while I was creating these videos. Again, it's all about helping people understand. We had this complex system. Like when you walk into McDonald's, you know those screens that you see, the menu screens, menu boards.
Yeah, yeah.
So those at the end of the project, I'd have to wire those all up, and you have to wire every wire absolutely correctly. And there's probably about 70 wires that have to be connected in the right way. and nobody had any plans for it. They just said, here's a picture, try to figure it out, call them, and they'll tell you what to plug in, and eventually you'll figure it out. And I was like, what is this? So I created a video step by step and trained, and all of a sudden, within a few weeks, people that I didn't even know were reaching out to me. They're like, dude, thanks for making that video. Now we can actually install these things. Boom, very easy and correct from the first time, because the company was losing tens of thousands of dollars, not a month, but definitely a few $1,000s a month, because they had to send people back and to rewire and redo things. But with this video, they're like, this is awesome, and it really made a difference. And for me, it was about making a difference for the people on the ground at the company. But then I realized, then I ended up calling the main person there, and he said, yeah, I don't think they're going to really be pushing it anytime soon, maybe in about 4 or 5, 6 months. And then I was just like, is there actually a chance that they're going to want to really take this seriously? And he was like, yeah, no. I'm like, well, in that case, I'm going to leave. And that's when shortly before that, made that investment. And then here, when I came to Hawaii, it was like, oh, because it was new here, I was meeting people. I'm like, let me do this, let me try this, let me try this. But once this money thing came back up, so it was already when I was in Hawaii here, because I was supposed to be doing the paperwork and the office work here. But again, the guy just vanished, disappeared, and now I'm like, oh shoot, that's not going to happen. And then at that time, one of my friends texted me and was like, hey, you should really consider doing this full time, like helping people. And in conjunction with the pressure of, okay, now I owe all this money that I had and don't have anymore. Or I invested all my money that I saved up, and then it was a substantial amount. Plus now I have to pay all these people back, and because I have to pay them back, now I'm like, okay, I can't just be going all over the place. I need to start focusing. So in essence, looking at the big picture, what it had done for me is force me to start zooming in and to going back to my North Star.
So that's essentially if you look back at question one, it's like, what were you actually trying to create? You were trying to create a line of work that was aligned with your North Star.
Well, yeah. Looking at that now, that's been my whole life journey. I just would kind of go sideways and go with culture, go with society, or you should do this, or people are like, oh, you should try that, or you should go in construction, you should get this, you should get that, or just running after money for money, or going after doing things for money's sake. So yeah, this was just another redirect. My real desire was to pursue my true North Star.
So since we got that, which answers number one, it was like you now see what you were trying to create with a little bit more clarity, and you now see what this investment experience actually helped you to accomplish. Now, step two on the paper is write out, see how you're the author. How did you actually create this for yourself, this event, by the actions you took, didn't take, maybe the, how can you put it, the assumptions you made or things of that sort, to basically see, how did I orchestrate this by either acting or not acting, which is an action in of itself.
Well, I definitely think I see how I authored that. I don't need to, like, now that I was talking, what I was just sharing earlier, I definitely see that, yeah, my true desire of what I wanted to accomplish was set into motion.
Okay, so as long as you've gotten that written down, step three of the process is you're reframing this as a positive event, which I think you've already basically done in explaining this. You're now actually seeing how this investment thing, which puts you in quite the pickle, drains you of your hard-earned savings, and now you've moved to, mind you, to a new place, and you're just kind of like, okay, stuff just got real.
Yep.
What do I do? And then it's just like your whole life you've been trying to get this North Star work thing figured out. You tried to do the investment thing because probably at the time it seemed like a good idea, but you're into it. But then it's just like, now you know from the actual experience that it's a positive thing, because it taught you how to actually focus on just one thing at a time and really like double down on whatever it is you know you need to be doing, which you started doing in Hawaii, and things have been, rolling from there. You got the
Yeah,
clarifiers rolling out now.
I could definitely see that if it worked out with the investment, I would not be where I am today on the process of everything right here. You see in the background what's going on, and these videos would have never happened
Yeah,
because
they wouldn't
success
have.
would have happened, money would be flowing in like crazy, and I would have been swimming with dough, but no purpose, not living out my true North Star or my purpose, really direction that I wanted to achieve here in this life, helping others. I would have helped myself, but not others like I wanted to. So yeah, I definitely see it as a positive, although yeah, definitely.
So, step 4 in the process is believing to knowing that you're the author, which we can clearly see that you've already gotten to that point.
Yep.
Now, step 5 is what lessons did I learn from the situation and about myself? So, if you were to
Okay.
summarize it as simply as possible, what did you learn?
Well, so this sounds like a lot more nitty gritty kind of thing. What did I learn from the process itself? What silliness will I not repeat kind of thing? The couple things come to my mind is always have contracts. Do not work off of trust. No matter how close to friends you are and how much you trust a person, contracts are contracts for a reason. So create them, make them, and use them. Um, and
Got
be honest. And what I learned about myself is be honest with yourself. Are you going after just money, or are you going after what you really know what you want to achieve here in this life? Nothing wrong with going against with money, but I realized that because I wanted to make it financially so much, and at that point I already was pretty good, that it blinded me from I guess I could put it like this, that this desire to make more finances because of the people I was around. It's like the clouds came in and covered my North Star, and I was like, I let what I was looking at control me, not my North Star.
Okay, I
North Star
see.
being helping people all over the world understand better of progress, like progress.
Yeah, well, you're mentioning you from your grandpa, my great grandfather, did Vanya. What
Yeah.
you learned was helping other people understand.
Yes. So the situation, the actual things is write contracts with people going forward. Ask more questions, be a lot more direct, because that really taught me to learn. If you're not going to be direct and honest and open, um, things will come back to you. So be honest, be open. The situation myself is going forward. It's like use the filter of my North Star, even if it's, and don't let the clouds settle in.
And don't compromise, it seems like, on your North
Yes.
Star for something that's just popped up, no matter how good it might seem at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so with that, step 5 being accomplished, step 6, you're reaffirming, don't blame the key players. So don't blame the person that you invested in or anybody else involved. It's take responsibility because you are the author. And in this case, as you've said very clearly, sign a contract, kids, because if you had had that contract, it would have been a very different story now.
Yep.
So this is a really beautiful 6-step process. But as you guys got to see in the beginning, he was kind of like, yeah, well, this happened. And then as you kept asking the questions and, reiterate it as much as possible in a little different way, it gets the juices flowing in the brain. And then as you see, there's that shift where it's like, oh, going through that event, you saw the past videos of like how I was going through the process, and you're just like, oh wait, that connects to that with this, and that connects to that. It's a simple process, but it's quite amazing of how much it can get moving internally. And at the end, it's like, oh, I know what I learned, I know what I need to do, and I know how to avoid this now. So
It's
this,
interesting that you mentioned that, because that's exactly when you started asking that question. Although I've asked you these questions, now being on the receiving end, I realized that that question could proceed with a few other things to alleviate that, like your brain kind of goes like, what? So you mentioned like is Yeah, definitely let the person know, hey, your brain's gonna feel overwhelmed, but keep thinking, like just keep going with the flow. Like actually let them know that that's what their brain is gonna first feel. Like it's too much. Like how in the world do I even figure it out? So that
Yeah,
encouragement factor to start before you even get into step one. I just
yeah, no, you're right. Because when we were doing my first walkthrough right here,
yeah
the first thing that I wrote down to answer question one wasn't actually the thing. It was just Alexei was there and he was like, because he knew about the event, he was like, no, it's actually more of this. But as he was going through the process, definitely let the person know that you might feel confused, and the first one that you think you get isn't always the right one. Like keep going deeper. Because in my case, it was become programmer so that I could earn money without physical heavy labor. That wasn't the real thing I was trying to create. And I'm like, what is it? Maybe it's accomplishing freedom. But then as we dug a little bit deeper, it wasn't that. It was actually freedom to be me in my own creative ways. So essentially, you're trying to get as specific as possible as to what you're trying to create, because the more specific you can get, the easier the whole connecting the dots, as you saw in this video of Alexei, where you can actually start seeing the bigger picture of what's happening kind of in the background versus what might be just catching your attention that's like running around in the foreground of your conscious mind.
yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I think that's the one thing so kind of going like, just back and forth banter about the process itself. Definitely, I think that's a huge one that will simplify the process for the person listening. That's definitely gonna I'm gonna include that in there. Um,
yeah, I think question one, we should try to re have that question written out like 4 or 5 different ways where it
uh,
says the exact same thing but 4 or 5 different ways just for like the different types of people's minds who think differently. Because like I remember when you initially read it to me and I was writing it down, the way it was worded, I was kind of like, huh, at first. But then when
yeah,
it clicked. So I'm just thinking that might be something we could do to improve the process a little bit.
that's definitely that's a something to improve it. A few ideas. Tell me what you think of it. Um, it's actually been 30 minutes already. Let me quickly share this with
Mir
you.
what stop болеть, so like we can go a little bit more,
Okay,
which
for
is
those
good. So
non-Russian speakers, he said my stomach stopped hurting, so we can continue on. He said he, so yeah, let's keep it one language, bro. So the question, ask the step one. So ask the big question first, and it's like what? It's like okay, let me lead you through the process. Like actually, in the part one, in learning the concepts that we then go over today, but in there, um, I say okay take a walk. So first thing you do, like when you feel this thought coming to your mind, because last year when this thought would come to my mind, I would just let myself go into that soup, and it would take me like days to get out of it. But when you get into that moment, remember like yesterday, it's a gauger. Think of it as a gauger. That feeling is the perfect gauger for you. So just when you realize you're in that mode of thinking or feeling, just go take a short walk, get a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you drink, get a pen and paper, and then ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? So that's where you would actually start the process. You'd say, okay, that's where the process is. So that's like the preamble to step one. It's okay. Um, this is what I have here. So work your way backwards to what the original trigger was. So you start off with writing, I feel like, for example, I'm thinking back to when this was just starting happening. I just felt panic. I was like, oh no, oh crap, like what now? Like what the heck? Like I just lost all that money. Mind you, you could buy a a decent brand new car with all that money. It's just like it's a down payment for a house kind of money, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And so that was the final feel or the feeling that I'm in right now, the state of mind that I'm in right now. It's like panic, like what the heck, like what am I gonna do? I don't know anybody here. This place is like, how long am I even gonna stay where I was staying at? I originally came here for 6 months, so all these thoughts created panic and worry in my mind. So the process was I would sit down and say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Step one, or before step one, it's like the preamble. A, how are you feeling right now? Describe it. So it's like, I feel panic. I feel worry in that case for me, and I'm going through my experience
Yeah.
specifically. And then it's part two of that is work your way backwards, write down, and eventually get to the what the initial thought was. So then that leads right into step one.
And work your way back.
Yeah, because then I'm aware of how I feel. I'm aware of what the triggers are in the initial moment. Then I can start stepping back because now you've been like slowly. If you think about it, Anthony, does this make sense on screen? Like this is the step one. But you start right here, and initially you're like in the moment, you're feeling it. They're like, okay, how do I feel? You kind of step backwards. Then you're like, okay, what triggered that feeling? You step backwards, and you're starting to see the situation, this whole situation, further, 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 and eventually you realize what were the dominoes. Now you're so far back, you see the situation from a lot like a further perspective.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, and then we can jump in. Then it's jumping into, okay, now if you could come to a make a statement. What did you actually you think that you wanted to learn before that incident happened? Like, what did you have to think for that outcome to happen? What were you thinking of? What were you
What were you
desiring?
daydreaming about?
That's a great way of saying it. What were you daydreaming about to make this thing happen so that you get? Oh, actually, let me show it to you, Anthony. I drew this right here. The simplest version. Okay. It's like done. So this is like the whole process. A, you had the thought. B, you had the experience. C, you had the outcome. So the question is, we're starting from this point and then working our way back to the experience itself. And now step one is jumping even further back and saying, okay, what thoughts could you have been having to trigger B so that you could get C? So a lot of times the experience, for example, the experience, the one that you were sharing with the computer being destroyed, you weren't thinking about that kind of experience to happen, but your thoughts were like, well, if he wants to achieve freedom of personal expression, we have to destroy everything he has right now, kind of thing. For me, it was, well, if he really wants to pursue his true North Star, he has to be taken away from every safety net that he has about what he has now. And so we're going to stick him on an island where he only knows two people. Technically, I knew one person I was staying connected with. It's a husband and a wife. And I knew the wife, I would always talk with her over the years. So I met them at a conference 2 years before that. And it's like, you have no money now. Not only do you have no money left over, you now owe a lot of money to people. You're living in an island where you only know two people. Focus, dude. Focus. So, although B, the experience, so it's like if I do not correctly realign my life to the outcome I've been thinking about, life is going to give me B again, again, and again, like you said yesterday very well, in different forms. Sometimes it's going to get worse. Sometimes it's going to get different, less intense, more intense. Still trying to get you to point C, the outcome you were thinking about at A. So you had your computer destroyed, right? It's like, okay, express yourself, Tony. And then it's like, no. And then in years of that same thing kind of repeating where it's like trying to take away from you so that you can get the outcome. And then finally, after leaving the company that you were working for, the shoe company, finally did you actually see the outcome. You got the outcome life was trying to get to happen in your life because you were always thinking about A. You're always thinking about A. The life is like, here's the experience. Maybe that will get them. Here's this other one. And for years and years and years until you finally got that freedom. In my case, it's finally getting that focus.
You know,
Like
for
it took
anyone
me
who
to
ever,
look.
I
Yeah,
just
you go
funny
for it.
thought. Anybody who's gonna go through this process, you're gonna start looking back at your past life events, and you're just gonna start laughing because things that you cried about and were so pissed about, you're just like, Jesus. Like looking back at it now, it's so elegantly played out the way that it did, and you begin to see how it was literally your daydreams and thoughts and wishes that you were thinking and the emotions you were holding, and you were unconscious of it because most of the time you were pretty young still. And it's just like, oh, wow. It's
Yeah.
quite comical.
And now, tell me, like I'm thinking about my experience that I shared today. You think about your experience that you shared the last couple of days from different angles. Imagine, like I'm thinking about it. You tell me what you think. It's just like now I'm feeling so grateful for all the players and the situations that occurred because it's like, oh, it's like this is what I was trying to achieve myself the whole darn time. This is what I've been wanting to achieve. It's like I'm thankful for all of that. I'll be much more careful next time opportunities come up. Yes, that's just the nitty gritty. But what the real thing is like, I'm very, very happy and grateful to the players of that game, so to speak, if I have to put it
No,
in game terminology.
I definitely concur on that. When you go through this process, what I found for myself is you're able to reflect back on those experiences and people that may have played a unpleasant role in that experience. You actually end up thanking them in your mind and heart for what they taught you because you realize you orchestrated it. And what was I wanted to say something,
Being
but it
thankful
slipped.
that they orchestrated it. We're thinking about the concept of being thankful for the people and not blaming. Like it's no longer about blaming them. It's actually flipping the script, and being thankful for them that it actually happened the way it did. Rewriting that
Yeah,
program in my mind. That's what we were talking about.
I
There's
had
that too.
something funny. I had some funny thought pop up of like, you know, it's probably hard to realize because as you, oh, that's what it was. There we go. Um, the only way that you can get to the point that me and Alex are experiencing now is you actually physically have to write it out because it's mentioned throughout like a lot of like philosophical things, but man is forgetful. We're a forgetful beast where I'm looking back at some of these experiences and it's the same damn lesson, the same damn thing I'm trying to create, manifesting in a different experience. And you look back and you're like, well, why didn't I notice? Well, it's like I never wrote it down. I never I never put in effort into distinguishing that event or experience was important. So it's like once you begin to realize like with this whole process, the writing out process just allows you to get out all the excess in your mind so you can see clearly. But once you see clearly, you start to have this like progressive realizations where it's like, well, I am the author. I'm now seeing how my past daydreams and desires created these really painful events. So you start asking the question, how much of today's events, on my day-to-day basis, am
Yep.
I manifesting good things, like good experiences or bad experiences, depending on what I am focusing and thinking about, which then connected the dots to as to why do most of the successful people say that they actually say no 90% of the time and say yes very little of the time. And you're just like, why? And it's like, oh, people who've heard about the law of attraction or, quantum entanglement of particles, um, you start to realize why very successful people say no to almost everything, but yes to a few things. Because that's what they understand that they're the author of their life. The author of your script. So I think that's been the coolest thing is you're liberated and you feel grateful that you can change the meaning of experiences by shifting your perspective and it completely transforms
Yep.
the whole world essentially. But not only so there's like that fun aspect and then there's like that slight serious aspect where you're like you start to actually understand how much power you have over your own life, how you are in control. Gary Vee always talks about it, you're in control. You're in control. And it's just like, it's almost a terrifying thing because it's much easier, I realize, when you think you're not in control. It's so easy. You can always blame somebody. But when you are in control, there's nobody to blame. It's just you. And it's like, you got to figure out, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, because it's something I'm doing or not doing, something I know or don't know that's, you know, manifesting this experience that I'm having in my life. So I think that was like my biggest takeaway so far on day 3 of learning about this process and going through it.
Did you get the link for the YouTube video that I sent you yesterday? Did it work?
I sent it out. Yeah, I should have. I sent out to everybody who couldn't make it but wanted to, that I messaged.
So I already uploaded the other one right after this conversation. I'm going to type up all the stuff into there. And then I'll send you the link to that. So we'll be one day behind on posting them on YouTube. So like today I'm going to be working on this video because for some reason Instagram is not allowing me to save them. It does not give me that option.
So you have to screen record it yourself?
Yeah, and we have words going over your face. So I don't know how to make those disappear, which is, it is what it is. And,
we could just record it using Facebook and then repost it as an IGTV video.
We could do that. Let's do that tomorrow.
Let's give that a shot. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Facebook might make it easier to save. That's just an idea.
We'll try it. We'll try it tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe by the end of this we'll be using like Zoom or something.
So yeah, that's pretty much wraps up today. That's the process. It's yeah, it definitely lightens the mental load when you're like, yeah, I'm totally in charge of that one. I totally made that one happen, and here is why, and here's how, and made the process
Get ready to blow your mind.
Yeah, so high five, Tony. Made this process Kaizened it just a little bit today. Or clarified, because we had this information, now we just clarified it. That's why so we'll go back and forth. Tomorrow you, the next day me to you, you to me.
Sounds like a plan, brother.
So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Hawaii time, 4 p.m. California time, and 7 p.m. Anthony Eastern time.
Yes, sir. I need to go take a shower.
Okay, it's going to be on Facebook.
Yes, we'll be switching over to Facebook.
Okay.
I will coordinate. Peace out, comrade. I need to go shower. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
What's wrong with me? Why do I feel 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 What's wrong with me? Why do I feel